Okay, we had Renaissance sculptures, and this is a spoof on King Lear.
So in the movie, King Lear wants a sculpture of himself, and he's deciding between three sculptors, Cellini, Ghiberti, and Michelangelo, and whichever one proves they're the best artists will receive the commission.
I am Michelangelo as Regan, Olivia is Cellini as Goneril, and Allie is Ghiberti as Cordelia.
And Haley Yeager as Lear.
Little ones, I want a sculpture of myself. Whichever one proves you the best artist will get the commission. Cellini, what do you have to say?
My artwork was recognized as pure talent, and I had the option to work for many important figures such as the King of France and the Medici family. Most of my sculptures revolve around Greek mythology, setting a powerful tone to whomever looks at my great works of art.
Michelangelo?
I did what Cellini did, but I did it better because I didn't follow the traditional way of doing things. When I sculpted the David, I used the classical contrapposto stance, which means one of David's leg is slightly forward and his other supports all his weight, creating an S curve in his stance. I also spent a lot of time studying human anatomy while I snuck in to study the corpses.
Ghiberti?
I have nothing to say.
Nothing? Tell me why you are the best.
Words cannot describe my work. When you look at the doors of paradise outside of the Florence Baptistry, it is clear I'm an excellent artist.
That's all you have to say? Go away. Little turkeys, both of you guys sketch a sketch and I will decide which one I like better.
I know you guys are lying about your skills just to get the commission.
That's not true. I really have sculpted for the King of France and the Medici family.
Well, the Medici family even let me live with them. It proves I'm the better artist.
Well, haven't you seen my works? I've actually sculpted for a king.
Yeah, but
How's your sketch coming along?
I'm planning to make your sculpture out of bronze, a precious metal I used to make my famous Perseus sculpture.
Bronze? I want my sculpture to be made out of marble!
But I've never sculpted with marble, only bronze.
Then I will go to Michelangelo and you will not receive the commission. Cellini has let me down. I'm relying on you to make a better sculpture.
well, this is what I've been working on so far.
Message from Michelangelo.
I have just been informed that Lorenzo Medici has offered to pay me to sculpt the Sleeping Cupid. I'm sorry, but I will not be sculpting for you. The Sleeping Cupid will be simple to sculpt.
All I must do is make it look like a classical sculpture. To do that, I will make it look like it has been buried. It will be easy since I grew up around sculptures that were constantly being unearthed and re-examined. Lorenzo Medici wants me to do this so that we can sell it for more to Cardinal Riario. Hopefully he doesn't find out that it is a fake.
If you think Lorenzo's commission is better than mine, you will not be sculpting me.
Why would Lear not choose me just because of the material I'm using? In the end, my sculpture would be better than Michelangelo's anyways. I think I'll get rid of Michelangelo by poisoning him. Maybe this time I won't get caught like I did with my brother's murder. If my plan goes through to poison and kill Michelangelo, then I'll still have a chance to get the commission for my sculpture of Lear. Instead of basing it off of Perseus, I will make it like my other sculpture, the Salt Tower. Instead of it being bronze, it will be gold. Using my background as a goldsmith, gold will be easy for me to sculpt in. Since the two figures in the Salt Tower are gods from Greek mythology, I will try to make Lear as godlike as possible. The two gods in the Salt Tower represent the sea and the earth. When I was in France creating the sculpture for the king, I adopted many French techniques that I used in the sculpture, which I could use for Lear's.
Selene, how dare you let me down? How dare you speak to a king like that? I can't stand you anymore. You make no sense. Who's gonna sculpt me now?
Lear, what are you doing out here?
I have no one to sculpt me.
Well, come on, I'll show you. I've been working on something. I'm planning on using bronze because bronze is a metal that my most famous works are made of. For example, the Doors of Paradise. The Doors of Paradise have 10 panels, each displaying biblical figures. Most of the figures sculpted are nude and have a natural stance or contrapposto. I wanted to achieve the level of perfection that the Greeks did, so I copied many of their sculpting techniques. Doors of Paradise and St. Matthew. However, not all of my work is sculpture or bronze. I once made a stained glass window of the Virgin Mary. I am also a goldsmith, but my skill goes beyond art. I understand anatomy and math.
I'm not a fan of bronze, but you are my last hope, and you will get the commission.
Thank you. I promise you it won't take me the 27 years it took for me to sculpt the Doors of Paradise.
Sorry about being rude earlier. Thanks for inviting me over. So, tell me about some of your recent works.
Me too, I shouldn't have acted that way. My recent sculpture is Perseus, and I sculpted it for Cosimo de' Medici. He wanted to symbolize the strength and power over Florence. I had just recently sculpted for the King of France and left to get more inspiration for my work. There I met Cosimo de' Medici. Cosimo requested me to sculpt Perseus, and I couldn't refuse. I've always had an interest in Greek mythology, and I like to return back to many Greek ideals in my past works. I included multiple different techniques I wouldn't usually use to sculpt my statue Perseus. When my sculpture was finished, Cosimo showed it to the public before he gave his opinion. The people of Florence loved my sculpture, and Cosimo was also pleased with my work. Thanks for asking about some of my past works. So what have you been up to recently?
Well, actually, when I sculpted the David, there were 2 sculptors before me that attempted. They ended up giving up, though, because there were too many imperfections in the work.
After Rossellino and Duccio failed to complete the David, I was asked to finish it. My 26-year-old self took on the challenge with enthusiasm. It only took me 2 years to finish it, and it turned out magnificent. I used the classical S-curve stance in the sculpture, just like the Greeks did. Along with the Greek influence, I used my knowledge of human anatomy to accurately place each pulsing vein and tense muscle. My new art techniques are an enormous step in Renaissance artwork. I use my many skills in multiple fields to create the David and replant classical ideas.
Interesting. Would you like something to drink?
Yes, I would love
If
something.
my plan goes through, then I might still have a chance to get the commission. Here you go.
Thank you.
Now I might have a chance to get commissioned.
Tell me more about your plans for your sculpture.
Well, like my famous sculpture of St. Matthew. St. Matthew is made of bronze and is 8 feet tall. The Greeks often sculpted their sculptures large also. Wanting to be like the Greeks is a Renaissance idea that I follow. I am also a Renaissance man because I am an excellent artist. I can paint well, sculpt, write. I'm a good architect and goldsmith too. I am very good with math and anatomy also. I am well-rounded and it makes me a Renaissance man. I also have virtue, or the ability to affect the course of history. While creating the Doors of Paradise, I opened a workshop, and it influenced many artist styles. The artists in my workshop took in my techniques and used it in their art. The next generation of art will have my style because I taught the artists who created it. I'm going to make my sculpture view very large, almost godlike. I'm going to sculpt you as the beautiful being that God created. I will also use a technique called contrapposto, which will make this sculpture look more realistic. In the Doors of Paradise, I also use this technique.
Lear? Ghiberti? What's going on?
Didn't you hear? I got the commission.
Oh no, I killed the wrong guy. Now I have to kill Ghiberti too.
Oh, that's great. I'll see you guys later then. Oh no! I didn't mean to kill Lear too! I don't want to go back to prison.
Lorenzo Ghiberti spent 27 years on one project. His project was to create a set of doors for the Florence Baptistry. In the end, the 27 years were worth it. Ghiberti finished with a beautiful set of doors that would be praised for many, many years following. Ghiberti was a Renaissance man because of some of the characteristics he had. He was a painter, sculptor, architect, goldsmith, writer, mathematician, and understood some anatomy. All these abilities make him well-rounded, which was desirable during the time period. Ghiberti also copied Greek art techniques and portrayed Greek beliefs in his works. He created a sculpture of St. Matthew using an approach called contrapposto. Contrapposto is used in many Greek sculptures. Another Greek feature in the sculpture of St. Matthew is its size. At 8 feet 10 inches tall, this sculpture is grand, just as grand as ancient Greek sculptures. Ghiberti also made every figure he sculpted appear as beautiful as possible, and that meant naked. Greeks consistently sculpted nude figures as well. It is clear that Ghiberti used Greek techniques in his art, but he also portrayed ideas. One idea shown is realism. Ghiberti shows realism in a stained glass window of the Virgin Mary, by having her wear normal clothing of the time period and making her appear young. He wanted to portray Mary as the normal human she once was, and not so much a biblical figure. Lorenzo Ghiberti was an excellent Renaissance artist that used Greek techniques and beliefs in his art.
In his sculptures, Michelangelo shows his knowledge of human nature and his love for classical works. He used his experience in many different fields to perfect his work. In the David, he combined the classical contrapposto stance with his knowledge of the human body. In the Pietà, Michelangelo created a peaceful emotion and made Jesus more relatable. The Sleeping Cupid is a replica of classical statues that he was around all the time. Michelangelo had all of these influences, but they were not his main motivation. His main motivation for creating the beautiful sculptures that he did was to improve himself and to improve his family. He wanted to be higher up on the social scale, so he worked hard on his sculptures in order to perfect them. He wanted to earn enough money so that his family would be better off. Michelangelo made multiple sacrifices for his work. He risked getting arrested to learn about human anatomy. He also often neglected to eat and change his clothes. Even though Michelangelo was so messy, his sculptures turned out beautiful. He may not have kept himself super clean, but his sculptures were well put together and one of a kind. Michelangelo's sculptures are some of the best pieces of work from the Renaissance time period, and they make him the ideal Renaissance man.
Benvenuto Cellini was one of the most influential sculptors of the Renaissance. His character displays how he was associated with the Renaissance by demonstrating how he was a well-rounded man by being a goldsmith, sculptor, and having expertise as a military strategist. Cellini also was a brilliant example of a sculptor in the Renaissance by wanting to connect his ideas back to ancient Greek and Roman times. Cellini found an interest in Greek mythology and liked to tie his artwork into those mythological stories. Through his statues, the Salt Cellar and Perseus, both are tremendous examples of how he wanted to be known during the Renaissance. Also shown in his autobiography, he helps to capture the spirit of the Renaissance and show his ideas and thoughts of that time period. Through Benvenuto Cellini's works, one can truly see how he reflects the title, the Renaissance Man.